This is Constant Crisis. This is Barbarian. It's October. We're doing scary movies. Jason, I am thrilled to find out what you thought of Barbarian. Quit looking at the laptop
God damn it!
screen.
It's force of habit. I need to know the answers. I like to cheat. What do you want from me?
I'd like to start by saying my dad and his girlfriend Jasmine suggested this about a year ago, and so you see how fast things are moving on Content Crisis. A year later, here we are. So
No, what it is we get so many suggestions from you, our
so
viewers,
many
that we just have finally started to work our way through the backlog.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. That's why it took us 4 months to do Predator 2.
Right.
The one suggestion we ever got. But I'm very excited before we do public reception to see what you thought of this movie, expectations going in and such.
Yeah. So I am picturing the critic response to be probably around like a 62% for this one.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's not what I meant. That wasn't the question I
Oh.
asked. But that's fine. No, we can move into that. That's
I'm
fine.
sorry. I thought that's where you were going.
I was saying I was excited to see what your thought of this movie was, but
Yeah.
you already went the other way. So
No, I'm
here
sorry.
we are. This is the first one you've been really off. It's a 93% critic response. So first one in a while. What would you say the audience score would be?
If it's 93 on the critic response, then that means it's got to be like 81%.
71. So it was a good one. This is one of the only ones I've come across so far that you go on the main, the first, I don't know, what is it, like 10, 12, reviews. No bad ones. All good stuff. If you like intense, incredible, stressful horror films, this is right up your alley. One of 2022's 20 best films with stellar performances, a unique premise, a boatload of scares, and horror visuals that'll be engraved into your brain for life. It's one of the best horror flicks to release this year. So yeah, interesting stuff. It's always interesting to see. I mean, now granted, I didn't have any real bad critiques in this. So not saying there should have been negative ones. It's just things I like.
I like to
I
see
feel like a lot of
when
time
people
there's
have
negative, yeah.
a negative opinion.
I mean,
Just so it's not all a bunch of fanfare and ego stroking.
Yeah. I mean, good. I just clicked on the full list. Next. Here's a splatter. A far-fetched, poorly conceived idea directed incredibly well. Even that one's not that bad. Gave it a C. Good. Here's bad. Sure has its few moments in the acting. All deliver respective decent performances, but the wobbly and misguided second and third acts can't mask the fact that Barbarian doesn't live up to its hype and reputation after all. Gave it a 2.5 out of 5. So
That's brutal.
it's very brutal. Good. Oh, here's a splatter. Ultimately, Krager takes an unconventional route down a familiar path. See, I don't know how familiar this path was. I mean, I felt like, if we get into likes and dislikes here, I felt like solid movie. Again, what we just talked about on Child's Play, how I want to do a horror grading scale. But, like, you get one thing that's kind of weird. And the door shutting was kind of another thing, but I guess we can blame that on drafts. But then the door locking is a whole other thing. So
yeah, that's just
that
a
doesn't make a
failure
lot
in
of sense.
design, really.
Yeah. But you get your one thing, and it's this weird, barbarian lady, I guess, if you will. Or was the guy supposed to be the barbarian because he's like a savage?
Or is it
whatever,
because
with
they're
the
on
girls in the
Barbary
day?
Street?
Or Barbary Street, yeah. That's an interesting one. Not sure how well planned out the name was, but just as far as the movie, really good at like misguiding you, taking you over here where you think you're going over there.
Yeah.
Type of deal. Keith, you're definitely suspicious. Or I was, at least, for a good bit here. And I don't know how many fucking movies, really have gone this direction. I thought it was a really well done movie.
Yeah.
So
I would say it's probably something that's like probably closer in like the indie horror direction, to where it's like a, sort of a inconsequential plot feeling where it's like, oh, like here's just a slice of somebody's life. Here's some weirdness. Here's some subverted expectations twist at the end.
Yeah.
Like that's a little bit of kind of like the horror movie formula kind of thing that I feel like it kind of fits in. But I do feel like this was at least pretty interesting enough in the way that it handled all of those points that, you know, wasn't as bad as what some of them felt. In my opinion, I don't know if this is something I'd put on like, you know, top 20 out of the year or anything, but
I don't know. There's wasn't a lot of great movies in 2022, so
you know what?
Halloween Ends was one of those movies, remember? So
well, you know. They got to kill that kid, so
it was always well worth it. Yeah,
could have been worse.
I just thought that like the only thing that really I didn't like was I felt like I think of John Q. When they're kind of doing the dialogue about like all the you know, the rape stuff and all that, the I guess kind of Me Too aimed stuff, right? Yeah. You know, it just felt like all of them like felt too forced, and I guess it's because it's like a common issue right now, right? But like I just think of John Q when they're talking about the healthcare stuff every time, and it just always felt like this like kind of after school special like thing, you know. And so all those dialogue scenes felt kind of forced, and when I don't know, it was just a weird thing to drop into this movie where, you know, the plot is, you know, there's this fucking thing in your basement trying to kill you, you know, and we're over here talking about, you know, fucking whatever, you know.
But, you know, I think kind of part of the point with that too is like that's a little bit of just the messaging that comes along with it, right? So it's like if you take AJ, and, you know, kind of, you know, like, oh, you know, I did the thing. He was, you know, kind of goating on to his friend and be like, oh, well, you know, I did some convincing, you know. You know, kind of thing. It's like, I think kind of drawing that parallel between him and, you know, the dad that's in the basement there too.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like they both, you know, probably felt fine with their actions kind of thing. So, I mean, it's different levels, obviously, but it's like a, you know, kind of that parallel of like, you know, he thought he was, you know, nothing he did was too wrong or anything there. Yeah. So like, you know, there's no reason for him to feel bad or anything there. And then, you know, the dad in the basement is kind of just like the, you know, that potential future for him kind of thing.
Oh,
you know, not, you know, to that degree, what I mean, you know, but it's like if he's already like, you know, shifting the blame and not taking responsibility for what he did now, does that compound later on in his life? And he, you know, I guess takes that further and further.
Okay.
So I think at least some of that was kind of the point they were trying to make, is that it's a little bit of like a, you know, this is how it starts, this is how it ends. Like, you know, if you just accept fucked up things, how fucked up do things get before you're like really, you know, drawing the line.
Okay.
That was kind of the way I took like that second and third act.
Interesting thought. Yeah. Just kind of interesting though too. I'm like, you know, he allegedly has raped this girl, and then he's getting, you know, he's getting breastfed raped to the mouth, you know.
Me too.
So yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's an interesting parallel you drew, but it was just kind of a weird, I just felt like an odd thing to be dumped in the middle of this horror movie. Was all. But.
Well, and honestly, just with the way they did this, so it's like as far as like my likes and dislikes, right? So I really liked kind of the cinematography of this. Like there were a lot of just really well framed, well lit scenes. The way they kind of handled like the light and shadows and everything, especially in those basement scenes, was really awesome. And then especially the like really stark like color palette changes that we saw, especially when we did like the flashback with that like you know, kind of third person camera view.
Detroit's a humming.
That was really awesome. Just that flashback scene in general, I thought was incredibly well done and just looked really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then just kind of like those color palette changes between like, you know, the dark scary present and then like the bright cheery you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
I thought all that was really good. And then kind of along the lines of too is like, especially with that you know, flashback scene all being kind of like behind the dude, felt like that was kind of like, you know, the intentionally obfuscating intentions kind of thing, or like again kind of rolling into like the hiding, you know, misdirection, you know, we're not being honest with ourselves kind of thing. It felt like that kind of fit with it because we very rarely saw the front view of this man. It's mostly behind him, so I was like maybe something there. What I didn't like was kind of just I guess how inconsequential some of the bits and pieces felt throughout it. So it's like I was thinking, like, for the most part, like, AJ is kind of irrelevant outside of just making that, like, you know, looking ahead at like what monster this man could turn into kind of thing, and the subverted expectations with like Keith and killing him off. I feel like we could have kept Keith and had him kind of play both his role and like what AJ's role was throughout the second half of that movie, and still have been telling roughly the same story.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't have gotten kind of that, like, you know, message across, I guess, with the rapey bad people stuff. So I was kind of split on that, and even in this moment, I'm still a little unsure if I like how that's played out or not. But I do understand at least kind of why they went with that. But I also do think that I prefer a little bit more of like the close quarter tension kind of stuff. Yeah. And I wish we would have spent more spooky hunting time in the basement of being pursued by the barbarian lady than all the kind of narrative fluff that we did get.
Yeah, I mean, I want to explore the fucking catacombs and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
catacombs are always lit. Especially when you have, like, a monster that's pursuing you, and she's only, like, sometimes interested in, like, fighting you.
Yeah.
That's pretty lit. I gotta tell you, when I was watching this, and I know a little disjointed here, but like once we got to like where AJ was being pursued, he came to the wooden door, turned around, we see just her barely illuminated, which I thought was that's the type of lighting I love, to where it's like, you know, the threat is just barely there, you can't see the detail, it's like slowly pursuing, creeping its way up. I love that slow creep way more than just like the like light, no light, light, no light, and then it's like that really jagged pursuit. I think it's way more tension building to do it that way. But what I really, really wanted was on the other side of that door to be like the male barbarian, and it'd be like, you know, like I'm thinking like a Left 4 Dead, and like, you know, big ass dude down there, and then like that's like the like, you know, there's the big hulking dude just barreling his way through the catacombs, like gorilla style, like dragging AJ with him.
And then it's a fucking AJ sandwich, like they run into the female one, and it's just like,
yeah. But then, you know, we can focus back on Homegirl and just, you know, because she's the only one we care about anyways.
Right.
I thought that was kind of where we were going, and I was very ready for that kind of like action peak.
Yeah.
And, you know, we get some of that later on, but I felt like that's at least what I was hoping for in that moment, was a little bit more of like another horror down there, and then kind of a big action horror sequence.
Or like if you go in and it's like kind of I Am Legend style, like there's a whole room of them just kind of like huddled up, and you're like, oh, okay, shut the door slowly. Yeah.
That actually would have been awesome. Yes.
Yeah. So if we go into our bad section, bad trailer, you know, just kind of misleading you into thinking it's a different movie. I would say that a good one would be if they made this into like a kind of a Roger and Me type doc looking thing. So, you know, again, it's about Detroit, just like Roger and Me, but it's like present day, and there's this one thriving Airbnb in the middle of this, you know, shit neighborhood, right? You know, and they talking to the homeless dude, and like, what was that? A fucking old, like, is that a corn silo? Like, what the fuck is that building supposed to be? Like, I don't know what the fuck that...
I don't know. I thought it was just a water tower or something, but yeah, it probably would have made more sense.
Yeah. I don't know. So, but that was kind of confusing. But, you know, they interview the homeless dude. You know, the cops don't fucking care. You show Tess, this fucking, like, crackhead lady, right?
Yeah.
Portray her as this crackhead lady, right?
I thought that was, like, such an effective way, though. They just show them, they're like, what?
Yeah. Like, yeah, it's a house. Yeah, you broke the window. I should take you downtown. Yeah.
Of course, if I was Tess, I would have been like, please do. Get me out of here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But, like, go in there or something, you know. But, you know, there's, you know, yeah, but they're interviewing the homeless dude. Something crazy comes out at night, you know. And then, you know, they're maybe, like, shaming AJ for wanting to sell the house, you know. And he's just like, yeah, I'm selling the fucking house. Like, leave me alone, you know. And he's going in the house and shit. That'd be an interesting trailer. You just kind of make it just a doc about Detroit, right?
No, honestly, like I've had the similar idea of where it was just like the, you know, declining house market kind of thing, you know, because I think, you know, in the flashback scene where he's like, yeah, you know, the neighborhood's kind of gone to shit, so I'm ready to get out. You know, it's like I feel like all of that would have worked out well into it. But what I also wanted was if we could get all the secret rape dungeon part 2 electric boogaloo scenes of the mom being just like, partially shown, in the catacombs downstairs and just framing it as like a super intense like hide and seek game type of thing. But it's more of like a game show. I think that that would have been pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like sports announcer voiceovers.
Yeah. Yeah, he's at the cages.
Yeah.
He's got the tape measure.
It's like AJ has entered the back room. What he doesn't know is that the dad is down there. Now, whether he plays this right or wrong, he still needs to get out of that room without the mom being notified. It's like you just build it up as just
it's almost like Nature Channel doc style.
A little bit. Or it's just like the I think of like the dystopic future, it's like the Hunger Games basically. So it's like they know this guy's gonna die down there, but it's entertainment.
Yeah. So we go bad summary. Just like, you kind of nail it, but you kind of actually don't at all. It's I had 2. It's a double booked Airbnb results in free stay for 2 tenants. Or girl doesn't get to wipe for days. Because you really think about it, she did wipe, right? She couldn't. So she goes down and finds the toilet paper. Then she's down there and she discovers everything. She hasn't wiped, and then Keith comes home and like unlocks the door, and then she's leaving. She hasn't wiped, and then she gets trapped down there, and she hasn't. She's like fell off a roof. She hasn't wiped. It's like a long time. And, I'm sure she went to the bathroom more times down there after drinking mother's milk. Gross looking bottle.
Yep.
And, I mean, like, just, you're all sorts of dirty.
Yeah. No, I mean, she definitely is going to have to get checked out, I think. She probably has a UTI or something.
Bad. It's bad, man.
I got to complain just about how annoying it was just that the toilet paper was downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's no bathroom no, there's no bathroom down there.
There's a bucket.
There's a bucket.
Depends on your definition of bathroom.
There was a bucket. The like toilet paper's downstairs, but like there's like cabinets and pantries and stuff even inside of the bathroom. And it's like you don't keep your spare toilet paper there. You keep it in the basement.
I feel like if I'm the Airbnb person, you have laundry upstairs, and then there's laundry stuff downstairs. It's like I'm sealing off that fucking basement. Like that's just a wall. There's no door anymore.
Yeah, I'd be fine.
Why
with
would
that.
you? Which leads me to my sequel idea, but that's later.
Okay,
so,
we'll get to that.
What was your bad summary?
So my bad summary is a good summary. Fuck kids.
Okay,
because that's pretty much what that guy was doing for 50 years.
Yeah.
Good summary was it though? Was just mother adopts 2 children and tries to figure out how to be a good parent.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good one. Bad casting. Unbearable weight of massive talent was 2022. So let's throw Nick Cage in as AJ.
No. This would be like the flattest movie then, because like just the no personality whatsoever out of Nick Cage in this would just it'd be so good.
She's saying what about me? Yeah. And then, Halloween Ends was last year, right? So let's throw Michael Myers in as Keith.
Also
and then,
with the mask. Yep.
Yeah. And he just says nothing, right? He just kind of like shows his Airbnb on the phone, and he's like, oh.
Yes,
I'll wash
honestly,
the sheets.
like there is so much comic appeal with just dropping him into movies, and it's just grunts.
Uh-huh.
But like he's trying to live his normal life.
Yeah.
There's so
like
much
the part
there.
with the duvet cover where the sheets over him. It's like, yeah. And then, so you're just fully embracing that red herring side of it there, where, because, Keith's kind of this, oh, man, Keith's creepy, what's...
Yeah, but it's okay, because he's cute.
I kept thinking Keith was going to, turn out to be involved in this chaos somehow, right?
Right.
But, he's not, so... You kind of really embrace it, because Michael Myers is just, standing there creepy. He's just holding a knife for no reason. He's just like nothing's wrong with it. It's just like my security blanket,
Yeah.
And,
I'm nervous without it.
And I thought, and then Shotgun Wedding was a movie in 2022 that I didn't see, but J-Lo's in it, and let's make Tess J-Lo and then it just doesn't work at all because she's like way too famous to. And I don't think she's that great an actor either. So
yeah. So maybe it would have worked out. It would have definitely made this feel probably a lot more indie feeling, you know? It's like, oh, we got famous actor, but like very flat acting.
Yeah.
Cool. So what I had was instead of the mother, we go mommy route. So the mommer, we go the mommy route. So we get Jennifer Aniston. So it's just straight up hot mom.
No,
it's like it's kind of scary at first, but then like it's like not bad.
But she's running around naked. And you're
right.
Like, okay.
So it's like but like honestly, it honestly would have worked for like AJ's perspective because like he's hey, like you know, like this is kind of weird, but like also I'm like horny and going through a rough
I'm
thing
sucking
right
on
now.
your nipple.
Right. So it's like I was like it honestly like would have kind of worked if we went with the hot mom approach outside of it just being less scary and more horny.
Yeah.
But I think AJ's character would have had some more interesting interactions out of that.
Yeah.
And then I was also thinking instead of Keith,
Jennifer Aniston also has like the fucking barbarian strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when AJ's like trying to make a move, she like fucking throws him into the wall or something.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And then also instead of Keith, we have John Heater.
Yeah.
So we still get like that awkward vibe, and I'm thinking we probably just dress him up as Napoleon Dynamite anyways,
sure.
just to fit the effect there.
Yeah.
But I just thought that would really drive home just like the extreme awkwardness that I felt out of Keith, like in that first like bit of him and Tess interacting.
Yeah.
Because I was just like so like, man, you are handling this so poorly, and I would love it if it was just. Just Napoleon, like
just him opening up the door middle of the night. Yeah, just that whole bit. Like, cause like when he opens the door, yeah, and it's just like, hi, who are you? It's like I'm renting this place.
It's like Napoleon, and he's like, well, I'm here too. Come on,
let's call these people freaking idiots.
Oh man, it would that would work out so well. I need that in my life.
Yeah. All right. So if we get some discussion topics here.
Yep.
So are we? I hope we just kind of talked about it. We didn't really discuss it. Are we attributing the door shutting to the draft, or is there some like other power at work here?
I don't know. It seems
because
unfair,
it seems like there's this other power at work here because the door locks every time, and that doesn't seem like that should be locking if it's just the draft pulling it shut. So
what I'm thinking is it's a fault of the handle. I think that the door is probably at a slant, so no matter what, if it's open, it should close. It just we always see it in a very convenient way. Yeah. But I think if the door's open, it should always close if it's set up that way. Yeah. And I feel like they could have made sense by having it be propped open, when they first got in there, and just leaving it that way. And then like as cleaning up, they move it and then it closes, and then like, oh yeah, this is a thing that happens. Like that's a better way to sell it rather than just it conveniently closing a couple of times. But
or is this like Cabin in the Woods style, and it's just kind of like it can be open right now, and then they like, and then it shuts. Well,
I mean, we do have the rope pull thing downstairs to open the second secret basement.
Right.
And then there's the third secret door that opens the third secret basement. So, there could be some level of like, pulley system set up to where, the mother is just, orchestrating things and causing ruckus. But I kind of doubt it, personally.
Yeah. Okay. I just, It's another weird thing, and as we talked about, like you get like one, and that's the Barbarian lady. So, the Barbarian of Barbary Street. So, anyway, what do you got?
So, I was kind of thinking about how I was planning out the rest of this movie as I'm watching it kind of thing. So I was very convinced that the like documentary plot and the lady that she was meeting with was going to be relevant to the rest of the story, because when Tess is like, oh yeah, like I'm got an interview for this thing, it's about this documentary. Keith happens to also know about this really obscure documentary. Yeah. I was like, maybe this lady that she goes and has the interview with also runs the Airbnb thing, and she uses that to like trap people and keep them in the basement or something. Yeah. So like those because
you don't want to pay union fees, right? And you got to get people working for you for cheap, right?
Right.
So.
But I was very much kind of going down that route to where it's like she is gonna come back up at some point, right? Like she's somehow a part of this because I just felt like why did we even bother?
Bonnie.
Why did we bother even giving her screen time? I was like,
Yeah.
maybe she set up the Airbnb on the different sites and gets people down in there, traps them in the basement, and then maybe the sex room dungeon kind of thing, or and then. Kind of as we got to like Tess after she escapes and is beaten up and stuff the first time, because she goes down to that gas station. I was like, maybe it's just like everyone in that area is in on it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that's where they just get people down. Everyone kind of has their fun with the out of towners kind of thing.
Yeah,
and then they discard with it, and that's why the police don't really make much of an effort to do anything because they know like it's just
we're the only 2 cops in this town. This is
yeah, you know what I mean. So like I was writing this whole movie, just throughout it, and obviously I was very very well off. But then I was like, you know what? I could write a fucking movie.
Exactly. Yeah,
I could do this. But I gotta say the most effective ridiculous thing ever in this is just the second rape dungeon. You get you get to the basement, secret door, you get your rape dungeon. Second secret door, second set of stairs, you get your second rape dungeon.
Right.
And then there's all these separate rape rooms behind the wooden door. That's your third rape dungeon.
Yeah.
I was like, this is like the most elaborate just setup.
Rape dungeon.
Yeah, I was like, it's incredible, and I'm trying to picture just how it was set up, right? Like this guy, he dug out all of this stuff for like 50 years.
Apparently, he's got nothing but time on his hands, right?
I don't know, but he's so sick and frail. That's a lot
now,
of work. Where'd all that dirt go?
Why he's sick and frail now?
I guess, but like, where'd all that dirt go? That's a lot of earth to be uncovering. And when we get down to the second rape staircase, all that is stone.
Right.
So without some machinery, I don't see how this man carved it out.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's some holes for sure.
Unless he had just his army of rape children that he'd
maybe
weaponized. Eat these rocks.
The rocks. That's where they all went. Is they all died, and then, he like shoved them in the walls and concreted over them. Yeah. There's a lot there for sure. I need to know why the mother is superhuman, right? Like, I mean, they kind of give the the homeless guy kind of gives us the explanation of the incest.
Mm-hmm.
When you make a copy of a copy of a copy, but like, there's no explanation for her superhuman strength. She can put a homeless guy in a headlock with one arm and tear his arm off with the other. She can bust through the wall like Kool-Aid Man. She can fucking take a fall from on top of a fucking corn silo or whatever the hell that was. Yeah. She can fucking get hit by a car and be fine. Like, why?
Yeah. So one of the things I'll say with that is like there's the idea that like your brain tells you to like not do things as hard because you'll like pull your muscles or like you'll damage your body, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you can lift more, it starts to hurt, but you can keep going.
Yeah.
But then like your body's like, wow, you fucking idiot, why'd you do that much? So the idea is that because their brain is so fucked up, it doesn't have those signals to tell the body that like, hey, you need to like chill. So it's like, you're using your body as a very damaging way to itself.
Uh-huh.
So you're probably pulling a muscle every time you do something, run into something, but your brain isn't like sending the signals to stop doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine if you used 100% of your strength in a single punch.
Sure.
With your brain unhindered. It's like, you probably break your hand and, fuck it all up and everything.
Right.
And do more damage than if your, brain was fully functioning. Was it PCP?
Yeah.
It's like when people take and they do kind of like unnatural, feats of strength because, their brain isn't registering that they're not supposed to, hurt themselves in that way.
Right.
Probably same kind of thing.
Okay.
At least to some degree.
That's fair. But I thought the whole incest thing like made people like
deformed.
Yeah, deformed, defective.
That's what I'm saying. That would have fucked up
thing.
the brain and stuff, but the muscles are there.
But why is she so strong?
I don't know. She's drinking that milk.
Yeah.
I don't really know how that works. Like, what is that lady eating? Like, she can't be drinking her own milk. Because
it's the rocks.
It's the rocks! That's why she's 40% rock.
Yeah,
That's why she's
you could
so
hit her. You
strong.
could hit her with a car. You're gonna mostly hurt the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it did. It fucking totaled it out right there.
Yeah. What's next for you?
Who is Marcus? I was really annoyed that like he showed up on the phone as calling Tess and stuff a handful of
The
times.
shitty boyfriend.
I know, but like I just felt like he could have been relevant or showed up or maybe saved the day or something. Like there was no point. What?
Marcus is in on the sequel then.
Yeah.
He fucking masterminded the whole thing. He was trying to get his girlfriend Tess in a rape dungeon
Yeah.
where he could,
Is that like a deep dark web service? It's like, hey, rent this Airbnb/rape dungeon.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you. Well, and there's your other parallel, I suppose. I didn't think about that. But, you had the AJ parallel, but you have the parallel, Tess literally says, like, the boyfriend that, makes the girlfriend a pet or whatever, and it's like this dude,
Yeah.
the very house they're in, this guy was making girls pets. So the cages with the bowls was pretty much the biggest thing where you're like, whoa.
That is severe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like it was, I don't know. I just expect too much, and as I'm like starting off the movie, I'm expecting things to come to fruition with like the twists or development, and I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like it was a thing to have in like conversation for her and Keith. It was a thing to have show up on her phone as she's trying to get to the Airbnb, but
you
just
wanted more.
inconsequential, adding a character into the story.
Yeah. You wanted more
I wanted more.
from Marcus.
A little bit.
Well, so did she.
Well, clearly. He didn't have enough rocks.
Some double meanings there we could get off track on, but
She was addicted to crack.
oh, okay.
Triple meaning.
Triple meanings, yeah. Are we open for sequel? I don't know. It seemed like this is a couple things, right? That seemed a little breadcrumby. Yeah, go ahead.
So what I want to say is just in line when when you talk about the mother falling off and still being alive and shit.
Yeah.
The way that they had her, she protected Tess, landed on the ground. Like there were clearly there was just brain on the ground. Like this lady's head is cracked open and there is just brain hanging out.
I'm not saying involving Barbarian.
No,
Good
I'm
mother,
just
by the way.
I was very frustrated at that level of durability out of this person.
Yeah.
That like they can still function with literal brain hanging out of their head to any capacity.
to literally rip a person's skull open with their bare hands.
Yeah. Now that was cool as shit. I
Spell bare either way you want to
Yeah.
there. But
the only thing I wish is that we would have just seen it from the front rather than just getting kind of like the silhouette of the back of the head. But
we are talking about an indie movie here, though.
Yeah,
I mean, we
I
can
know.
only
That's
do
a
so
lot of-
much,
it's a lot. But I just want to see it. And I want to see this dude's head split in half.
Well, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a cheap angle of it. But I think the door is open here, because I think Bonnie, we never really get like a real... I mean, we never see Bonnie,
Yeah.
right?
We get her. I think we
She's
hear
in
the
a-
voicemail though, so at least
Yeah,
there is
no,
a
I mean,
voice
her
actress
voice-
attached to it.
Her
but-
voice happens a couple times,
Yeah.
right? When AJ calls, when Tess calls, whatever. But, the secretary lady, when AJ shows up to pick up the keys, right? And he's in this, like, pretty empty office building.
Yeah.
There's, like, no one behind the secretary.
Yeah,
Like, it's pretty fucking dark, quiet in there. And she's like, oh, yeah, Bonnie said somebody would be here. Name, And so, Bonnie, unknown, right? Is Bonnie behind all this? She double booked it, right?
should have been. She should have been the antagonist.
Well, maybe she is ultimately the antagonist, once you
Yeah.
get around to the sequel, right? The homeless guy. Now, granted, he might have been just talking about the dad, but he says, he's not even the worst thing down there, right? But so, I mean, if you want to say no sequel, then you're just talking about like, well, the dad was down there and he killed himself, so it's over.
Yeah.
But like, what if there's this male barbarian down there? Right?
Yeah, I mean it's a big area down there, right? There
Yeah.
could have been more doors. Yeah, what?
I'm pretty sure there's some unexplored space down there.
Absolutely. You finish your thing.
But yeah, so the greater conspiracy of Bonnie, and then maybe Marcus, found out about this thing. Maybe that's why Marcus is so possessive, because he's been in on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he gets Tess to go do this, and and then Marcus is pissed, right? So then maybe Marcus kills Bonnie, or maybe Marcus is gonna kill Bonnie, but Bonnie's like, and Bonnie takes care of Marcus. I don't know. There's something there.
Yeah. Or
I felt like they left open intentionally.
We can stretch this out even further, right? So it's like it's almost like a human trafficking kind of thing. So they have like these like kids, that this guy was producing that are all like the mother or whatever.
Yeah.
And they put them in like these like neighborhoods and stuff, and like they set up like these little like operations kind of thing to use as like this weird like torture porn kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe we turn this into a real kind of like sicko operation. So it's like the dad is just kind of like the old ancient version of this kind of thing, because he's got his camcorder and stuff set up. He had all the VHS tapes.
Yeah.
But then the second one is like, oh yeah, this is like a dark web commercialized, torture porn kind of thing where like we have these catacombs and like these, shitty neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And, we rent them out, cameras everywhere, let them run amok, get hunted and everything.
Okay.
Shit, what am I thinking of? Is it like VHS? Did you ever see any of those movies?
A VHS movie?
Well, like it's a movie called VHS. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of like this like anthology kind of thing. I won't go too off topic with it, but it's like there's a loose story about these guys breaking into a house and they're looking for like a certain VHS tape because someone's willing to pay them for it. And then they put a VHS tape in, and then we see a story. So it's like a collection of short stories kind of thing, and they're all fucked up. But like what part of it ends up being is like it's like kind of a bigger deal with these kinds of stories being all linked together or whatever. But it's like that kind of thing. It's like, we're seeing the small instant story, but then you take that view backwards, and it's like a network of like all these houses set up, across the country, and it's just like this weird like torture porn enterprise kind of thing.
Yeah. It's something.
Yeah, we should watch VHS. Those are kind of neat.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Those titles were something, too. Catch any of those titles?
What?
Of the, what the guy had in the basement there.
I think there was the redhead at the
like
gas station was the only one I
like
remember.
Puker. There was like somebody won't stop bleeding. And like it was like these like fucked up names of shit.
Sometimes you just gotta try new stuff out,
Yeah, well.
Whatever gets your nut.
Yeah. Live tweet wise. Keith's like Alice in fucking Wonderland. Why are you going that deep? And if I'm Tess, I'm not going that deep in after him.
Yeah. I will say the best thing ever, though, is just looking down the hallway and going, nope.
Yeah.
And sitting down.
To then 10 minutes later, fucking go down the hallway.
Yeah. But I was like 100% with her. I looked down, I was like, nope. And then she said nope, and I was like, ha!
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
Well, it's even funnier that movie Nope came out last year, and then I was like, wait, so in what order did those two come out? Was that like
first?
A fucking reference?
Yeah.
Those masterful laptop throw to the dresser by AJ.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't even look. Just
the
like
most
fucking,
unbothered kind of thing. I was like that.
Like he literally did not give a fuck what happened to that laptop.
Yeah.
This guy thinks red flags are fucking party favors. He can't be bothered with them. He's just like so fucking caught up with the square footage. He's like, he just sees a fucking room with a camera and a bed and a bloody handprint, and he's like, sweet. He's like measuring the room. He's like moving the bed out of the way. Sits on the bed. Gross. Do you think that's where all the births happened? Is that why that bed's so gross?
I don't know. I have to think that's where like the sex stuff happened.
Maybe
but it is
both.
weird that is, huh?
Maybe both.
Maybe both, yeah. Because, I mean, that is the most well-lit room.
Right.
But I was kind of thinking all the births would probably happen in the room that, like, the mother was at that had the TV and everything. Because that's, like, supposed to show you how to do, like, the child care stuff. So that was kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. I like when AJ says, not again, when he's getting chased. I think he's just referring to, like, falling down.
Yeah.
But, it's just a funny thought to think like maybe he's been in some basement before that he's discovered under a house and he's getting chased. He's like, not again.
Yeah.
I think that implication.
And an aside to that, there's got to be some kind of story where it's a dude who just like keeps getting caught up in like these types of things, but like he's really good at it, like escaping.
Yeah.
So it's like he has the worst luck, but like he always gets kidnapped. He's always in like some kind of monster sequence, but he's like, no, like I'm pretty good at these now.
Yeah.
And like he's trying to lead like the other people. He's like, look, okay, this happened to me back in like '93. Okay, what's gonna happen is he's gonna come down. I need you to do this. He's like organizing them Scooby-Doo style.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah. If a white dude comes to your door and his shirt says Carlos, shut the door.
Yep.
He raped, then he got breastfed, raped by the mother. You know, there's your karma. Detroit cops ain't got time for your shit. This motherfucker shot her. Homeless dude, not good with subtlety. Earlier, he's like, hey, little girl! Hey, little girl!
Yeah.
Then as they're walking along, he fucking, hey! You know, and then his ending couldn't have been more fitting. It was like, I mean, it's like fucked up because it's like, what the hell did he do? But then, you know, he's like, shit, I've been here 15 years. She ain't never coming, this motherfucker. And then fucking, oh yeah! Fucking comes through the wall, right? Kool-Aid Man.
I was like, this is so unreal. Like, just the small amount of, like, comical stuff that they drop in.
Yeah. And then, you know, the end song makes me want to watch Goodfellas because that was one of the songs, Goodfellas. That's like immediately the thought I think when I hear that song is that Goodfellas scene.
Sure.
So.
The classic case of oh no, we're double booked in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
I think was just like the most annoying interaction.
Yeah.
It's like I don't care which party you were, I would have said no.
Yeah, get out.
You cannot stay here. I am a stranger, you are a stranger. None of this makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like figure it out. Oh no, there's a convention in town.
Yeah.
It's like fuck you.
Go sleep in the car.
Yeah, I don't care. But I guess, you know, he's like, oh, you know, that's my upbringing. I won't allow that whatsoever. Also drink this wine and tea.
Yeah.
The rapey vibes there.
That rant though of him of like, you know, he like starts like bumbling on about like, well, I thought if you saw that I didn't know that I opened, you didn't see me open it, that I would. You want to drink it and you think I'd put some.
So I wanted to wait until...
I could equally see like either you or myself.
Oh yeah.
Just having that rant of like over explaining of like, yeah, well, like I just didn't know, and like, you'd think I was like trying to like rape you or something, you know? I don't know. So you know, I didn't want you to think that. And, yeah. So.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, I was just... I felt like the way that scene was handled was just, like, so awkward. But 100%, like, that's what I would do if I had to be in that situation.
Right.
However, I would never allow myself to be in that situation.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't be there in the first place, but if I fucking wake up and find myself in that situation...
I would be like, listen... Well, honestly, I just wouldn't have even asked her if she wanted the wine. I'd be like, I'm going to drink some of this wine, and just so you're seeing me open it, and I didn't do anything weird.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
I was pretty good at calling out some of like the subtle background stuff as far as like, okay, so the door's probably going to close now because of the way it's framed or whatever, and we're going to see something here. I was like, as she's, you know, kind of pushing him and, you know, trying to wake him up because he's all moaning and having his night terrors and stuff, I was like, he's going to convince her like she's the creepy one, and then that's how Keith is going to get the upper hand on her.
Right.
Which I thought... I was really just disappointed that wasn't the case.
Sure.
Because, like, to me, that's the ultimate, like, subvert expectation is, like, we think Keith is the crazy one, and then he gets to convince her that she's the one being creepy and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
He's like, what the fuck? I'm sleeping on the couch. You have a locked door. Why are you bothering me? Like, I so much wanted that to turn around and then her to feel like shit for being the creepy one. But we never really got that.
What about a horror movie where it turns out the person that thinks that all the things are happening to them, they're actually doing all the things, like in this like fevered state, you know?
Yeah.
Like everything's like a fucking illusion to them. But it's almost like that Shutter Island type thing where you find out like you're the crazy one, but like you've been running around doing all these murders.
Yeah. I think stuff like that is interesting, especially if you frame it in the way to where it's all like kind of like panicked reaction type of things. You know, it's like it's such a good way just to show it's like, you know, we see this one character's perspective and, you know, how they're perceiving events, but you have to sprinkle in like, you know, those handful of things where it's like, this person's acting batshit, like when it's not from their point of view.
Yeah.
And they're doing the crazy stuff there. I do think like that kind of storytelling is super fun.
Yeah.
I love the main character presenting like an incorrect telling of events type of thing. Yeah. I think that's just a ton of fun. Lost my fucking mind at the even deeper, darker secret rape basement. I can't get over it enough. Like it should be illegal to have a secret rape room.
I think
and
it
then
is.
a double secret rape room.
If you call it rape room, I'm pretty sure they're like, hey, watch it.
It's like, listen, when we do the building coding for this,
We're not calling it rape room.
I cannot label it as a rape room. What I can label it as a bonus room.
I can say downstairs bedroom. Say rec room.
But it's not finished, so it can't be a
I
bedroom.
mean, if it makes you feel better, you can think that like rec room has like a double meaning there. You know,
because you're wrecking these women that you're raping.
Their
likely.
lives. Yeah.
Yeah. What I was kind of wondering too, because they mention Airbnb so often, is
Did they sponsor?
Well, I was kind of the other way around. I was like, can you this is framing Airbnb in a pretty bad light, right? I was like, can you really get away with this? Like, do you think
Airbnb comes back with a defamation suit against the
that's
makers
what I
of
was
Barbarian?
thinking? I was like, can they actually get away with this? Like, is Airbnb like, did they send them something and were like, hey, like you made us look like we rent out rape dungeons?
And that other fucking what was the other app that he used? I booked it on Home something. I don't know what the fuck he said.
Home to rape.
Home to but it's with a 2.
Yeah. I was very much a big fan of the flashback. It was just such a surreal thing, and I thought the way it was shot, the color palette, and everything was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
For some reason, I wrote down home birth, kid grows up a caveman, eats the parents, rape dungeon, something videotaping, poop bucket. I'm not sure what my train of thought on that particular note was, but I really
like it.
Yeah, I don't know. What I really don't understand too is just the utter convenience of the one nice home in this entire dilapidated neighborhood.
It's something, isn't it? Everybody left that one alone when they were graffitiing and destroying, defacing.
Yeah. Like it doesn't make sense even from a everyone else being there perspective. It's like nobody would leave it alone. Like that shit would be broken into 24/7. Like why, outside of people knowing that there's a crazy lady that lives in there sometimes, or she sometimes shows up. Like why does she only stay in the dungeon and nothing above ground is all messed up when clearly she has access to get into everything else and like has other ways to get outside? Like that is just such a big hole for me, is that she decides to live in the basement when there's an entire rest of the house to live in and do shit with, and all the people, if she's eating the people that are outside, how does she
Yeah, I know.
It's ridiculous. One of my points was though that I wanted to mention too was like with the cops, they come to the house. There are 2 perfectly good functioning cars right in front of this only singular nice house.
Yeah.
That she clearly broke out of, is all raggedy, and everything else around them is destroyed and everything.
Yeah.
And these 2 cops are like, yeah, no, leave this house alone.
She's crazy.
Why would the cops look at a house that is perfectly intact, suspiciously perfectly intact, with 2 perfectly functioning vehicles out front, and be like, yeah, you're a homeless crackhead that escaped from this really nice house or broke into this nice house, but nobody's probably home, so I don't need to knock on the door or check in on anybody. Like, there's just a logic there. It's like, what? Why do you not draw any question mark with this interaction of, this is the only thing that is nice this entire neighborhood, but your conclusion is this lady is just on crack, and that there aren't any normal people in that house that you need to address right now.
Right.
Like, it blows my mind.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's fucking unreal.
Yeah.
What I also really wanted was for the cops to show up at the very end after she was walking away with the gun and shoot her. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you survived despite it all. And then, when they finally come back around to it or whatever, maybe they heard some of the gunshots or something from the gas station.
Yeah.
And then they called it in. And then because she's the crackhead they saw earlier now running around with a gun, that they just take her out.
They see the dead Barbarian and fucking AJ with his skull ripped open. Like, oh man, crackhead lady must have found some PCP.
Yeah. I so badly wanted that to be the ending.
Yeah.
But what can you do?
What can you do? Well, that was fun. That was a good movie.
Yeah, it was interesting enough.
Yeah.
We could write a horror movie.
We could write a horror movie. Let's write a horror movie.
Let's write a horror movie.
or at least a grading sheet for horror movies.
Yeah.
So cool. That was fun. It's October. We got more of these coming up. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Emails, consecratedhotline@yahoo.com. Comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, what have you. And thanks for listening, watching, whatever. And goodbye.